Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Anne Marie with Anne Marie Creates, and I am sharing my next design team project for Country Craft Creations for the month of July 2024. I made this little mini folio, sorry, using the With Liberty paper collection from Photoplay. It's absolutely gorgeous. All the red, white, and blue you could ever want. And you can go back on my channel and look at the design team package haul if you want to see all the individual pieces that came in the collection. It just gives you a pretty good idea of everything that's in the collection. I did use the Craft Color Artisan cardstock that I believe Tamara has it on order, or it might be in already. Just double check. The link is below in the description box. So yeah, so this is a, let's see, I forget already. It is a 6.5 by 8 inch folio. It's got the little fold over flap. You could see there's the top, there's the back. It's pretty simple. I always leave the backs pretty simple. The cover, however, is fair game. So you can see the beautiful American flag paper. There's some of that red and white Tonic Studios glitter, or not red and white, red glitter paper. Ow, I think I just got a paper cut. This ribbon is this blue Swiss dot ribbon. I know that Tamara carries in her store. This was not part of my design team package. I had this in my stash. But it's just beautiful. It just went perfectly. You can see I made a rosette with some of the blue cardstock that was included. This is the Happy 4th of July sticker, and I just took some glossy accents. I guess you can see that. See how it's glossy on all the stars. I put down a white doily. These are the Prima flowers that were included. And then I made two rosettes. I forgot I made this one. And this is a God Bless the USA. It's a sticker from the sticker sheet that you can see there. See it's not shimmer. What is it? It's glossy. I put glossy accents on it. And just added a few little sequins, red, white, and blue sequins. Sometimes like this one right here, now it looks green on my screen, but it's definitely blue. Yeah, so it opens like this. There's that inside flap. Oh, this light, there's just so much glare. It says family time. It's really hard to see, but it says family time. Just gonna open it up here. Ooh, there's that fancy red paper. So there's one of the 4x6 cut-aparts. This says celebrate. Here's a little floral spray, and I use the sticker. This is America. These are some of the cut-aparts. Independence Day 1776, and there's some bunting with the American flag, and this is a little booklet. Again, this is just one of the 4x6 cut-aparts, and these just tuck right inside here. Over here we have a 4x6 flap, I believe it is. And there's the inside, and these are left open so the photos can slide back underneath. Down here is the Let Freedom Ring. I know it's kind of hard to see with the glare, but the two gorgeous balloons. And this just says proud to be an American. And I just used a paper clip to hold that on. Oopsies. Then over on this side, this opens like this. Oh. Sorry, I paper clipped it together. It opens like this. So we have a little pocket with some of the cut-aparts. I was gonna mat these, but I didn't think it needed it. And it's got a nice light color on the back, so you can put a photo and journal on the back. Love that. Little box of fireworks. Okay, and then there's this again. This is left open. This is a belly band. This one says Happy 4th of July, and it's a little booklet open. Here's another one of the cut aparts. I backed it on a piece of blue cardstock to just make it a little bit thicker. Isn't that gorgeous? Oops, if you could see it. There we go. I just love that little, what's that called? Display. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so then here's the back. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? That's actually the same thing. Very similar, not same, but very similar. And then this is another one of the 4th of July barbecue cut aparts, because you get 2 of each sheet. So that's the first page on the left hand side, and then we have this one. It says wave that flag. This is a pocket. There is here, it's the Pledge of Allegiance, and I just added a couple stickers down here, and that just flaps up. And that's the pocket lining. So then we have, I couldn't have cut that better myself if I tried. It was just left over from something that I cut, and it just looked perfect. So that, actually I have holding this flap down. Then here's 2 more tags, just absolutely gorgeous. You put those in however you like. That flaps open. Then we have this middle flap here. There's the music sheet with the Pledge of Allegiance. Love that. Or no, I'm sorry. It's America the Beautiful, I believe. Sorry about that. And then we have a flag, and it says freedom, a flag sticker, and it says freedom. Then this flips open, and I put a little, it's what, 4 flap waterfall. It says hooray for the red, white, and blue. And yes, I know the flag is going, the stripes are going the wrong way. I know. I'm embarrassed too. So then we have the pretty fireworks. It says 4th of July, liberty and justice for all. And then the gorgeous little flowers with Lady Liberty's hand holding the torch. And then this is says America the Beautiful. I left the backs blank because there was so much color going on the fronts. I left the backs blank for some journaling and a photo. But you'll have a couple, if you do this the same way I did, you'll have a couple stickers left that you can actually put on those flaps. I'm going to switch over to here. So then we have the back of page 1 on the right hand side. You know, it's got the bald eagle with the flag. And then this says an epic tale of bravery and courage. And that's just one of the cut apart pieces. I just put on the piece of that glitter paper that I love so much. And just added a piece of twine that I had in my stash. This page has 2 flaps. This is page 2 of the right hand side. Again, it's just that floral paper. This is one of the stickers from the sticker sheet. The waving flag, I love that. And then this says All American Firework Company, Old Glory, Let Freedom Ring, sparklers, 20 and bottle rockets, 25 cents. And then there's just a little picnic, and it says picnic in the park. And this is the reverse side, and it says land of the free because of the brave. True, true, true. And this is the center, or the back cover, the center. And again, I just took some of the stripes from the American flag paper, and this is one of those pockets, a telescoping pocket. So I just thought that was super cute. And then there's a map, and it says land of the free. So pretty simple to make. All of our pages are open. You can actually put some tags in there if you want to. I decided not to do that this time, but you can store extra pictures in there. So they just flap like this, and then that flaps over. I did not use magnets here because I didn't have any, and of course I was too impatient to wait. And I put the pattern paper down, and of course the next day my magnets came in my order. So you know how it goes. So anyway, so then this just ties here. My original intent was to use magnets, but I didn't have any of the large basic gray. So I just used some ribbon. It works. And I am the world's worst bow tire. But I do try. Okay. So that is my book. Coming up right after this is the step-by-step tutorial. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on social media. I'll be happy to respond. And if you do make the book, I'd love to see it. You know, I don't think this would be limited to just 4th of July. I think you can use any you can use any paper collection with any theme. So have fun with it. And okay, let's get started putting together our book. What we're going to need is several pieces of chipboard. You're going to want 2 pieces that are cut down to 6.5 inches by 8 inches. I'm doing a landscape book, so that means it's going to go horizontally, you know, open this way instead of vertically. So we want 2 pieces that are 6.5 by 8. That's the front and the back cover. Then we're going to want 2 spines. So cut out of the same chipboard, cut 2 pieces that are 1 inch by 6.5 inches. So you have 2 of those. And then you're going to want another piece that is 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Okay, so you can see I actually already wrapped this one. We're using the artisan cardstock. So I took care of that one, and I also took care of one of the 2 spines. So we can set that aside. So let's get, so for the papers to wrap all of these goodies, you're going to want 1 piece or 2 pieces of whatever cardstock you choose, and you want to cut that down to 8.5 by 10. Then we need 2 pieces, or 1 piece that's 4.5 by 8.5, and that is going to wrap this little flap that comes around to the front of the book. Sorry, the 8.5 by 10 is for the other cover, and this 4 inches by 8.5 inches is for the spine, piece. So let's just start off with the bigger one. So we have our piece of cardstock that's 8.5 by 10 inches, and if I did not say that already, I use the 12 by 12 artisan cardstock in the craft color. So I unfortunately do not have any score tape sheets. I just have regular score tape. So yeah, I'm just going to work with what I have. You can use glue here. I'm going to actually use both. So I put some glue or score tape around the perimeter and did a few little stripes of the score tape, and now I'm just removing the backing. Oops. And this one. Then I'm just going to take my score tape. I'm going to take my art glitter glue and just put some glue in between where the score tape isn't. In between the strips of score tape. Don't need a lot. Okay, another very, very handy tool is this set of spacers that Tamara sells in the store. She has these L-shaped ones, but then there's also just the regular straight spacers. They are fantastic for putting your cardstock in the right spot when you want to wrap your covers. So if you don't have these, or if for some reason Tamara's sold out, you can actually cut down 2 pieces of scrap chipboard that are 1 inch, 1 inch by 12. And that works just as fine too, or you can even eyeball it, whatever you like. So you see how that just makes it very, very easy to set it down. You don't have to worry about getting it straight. And then, because I have glue in there, I'm going to burnish it really well. Just give some pressure. Score tape, or art glitter glue loves pressure. Okay, and then we're just going to use our desk. You can actually use your scoring tool and just run it along the edge of the chipboard if you want to do that. You can, but I'm just going to use my tabletop to actually help me fold that over and burnish it. I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. If you've watched my videos, or pretty much the videos of any of us on the design team, we all pretty much use the lay flat method. This is the lay flat method of wrapping your chipboard or building your book. So now you can see we have in effect score lines there. We need to get rid of these corners. Now everybody has their favorite way of wrapping chipboard. You can just do whatever you want. There's no right or wrong way. So I'm just going to go ahead where that, I hope you can see that. See that score line right there? Right where the paper folds? I'm going to cut straight up to just before the chipboard, and I'm going to come over here and angle it. Basically just cutting that paper away. Removing bulk. We're going to do the same on the other side. You could start on the long sides if you want. I don't know why. There's no reason why I start on the short side. It's just become a habit. So you should end up with something that looks like that. Okay, now you could use score tape here also, but I am just going to use my art glitter glue. I like to run a bead of glue right up along the edge of the chipboard. Probably doesn't matter all that much, but it just makes me feel like it's getting a very good stick. Right. So I'm just using my dry baby wipe just to keep the glue off my fingers. Do the same here. You don't really need a lot of glue, because as you put this down, it could just ooze out the sides. You want to keep your project clean. And then, I don't know if you could tell, but I have a little bit of overhang there. I'm just going to go ahead and trim that away. I think all the other sides are good. So let's glue down the longer edges. And if you've used this artisan cardstock, you know how wonderful it is. I'm not going to say it never cracks, but I can't tell you the last time I've seen a crack, and I do a lot of these albums. Oops. All right. Okay. Now, as you can see, the chipboard's wrapped very nicely around all the edges. No cracking, no splitting. Absolutely gorgeous. And then the last thing I like to do is just take my bone folder and just flatten that cardstock up against the edge of the chipboard. Kind of just squares it off, makes it look nice. So you can go ahead and wrap your second cover, which I've already done. So front cover, back cover, front cover, however you want to do that. Okay, and then let's just move on to, since this is an easy one, your spine piece. So again, this is, you should have 2 of them, 1 inch by 6.5 inches. And I'm just going to put some score tape. If you have 1 inch score tape or other kinds of double-sided sticky tape, that's great. I just don't have that. You need to place an order. So I'm just going to put 3 strips right down the middle, or 1 down the middle and 2 down the sides. Then I like to give it a good burnish. And then what we're going to do, because we wrap the spine around the outside, there we go. This is the second spacer that's in the kit, or these come together. I don't want to call it a kit, but there's 2 spacers in the pack. This is the 1-inch spacer, and for our spines we use 1.5 inches. So just to make it easy, because we're wrapping it around the cover. So just go ahead and remove your score tape, backer, or add your glue. I'm actually going to add a little bit of glue because I want some wiggle room. Okay, and then I put this in my the cardstock in the corner of my scoreboard, put in my spacer, and just lay it down. Now it's not the end of the world. If it's not exactly 1.5 inches on either side, you know, the world's not going to end, but you know. So then again, I'm going to do the same thing we did on the covers. You use your table or your desktop to help fold that over. And last side. Okay. So again, it looks something like that. Just going to repeat what we did on the last one. Oh, I got mine a little bit crooked. Okay, and we're going to just angle that. It feels a little awkward because this side is so much wider. So it should look something like that. I'm gonna actually angle this side. Oh, I didn't quite get it right there. That's okay. It's gonna get covered up anyway. Okay, then what I like to do is fold this back on itself and see how crooked I cut that. So I'm just gonna cut that right off. Again, removing bulk and removing any interference. That one's crooked too. Holy moly. All right. Then I knew I cut this one crooked. Kind of straighten those out. It's still crooked. Okay. And those 2 sides look to be okay. All right. And then for this one, we're just going to glue down for now just this skinny, the short edge. Just going to wrap that right around. Still a little crooked there. Okay, then what we do is we're going to flip this over so that the naked side of the spine is face down. Actually, I want to fold this back on itself and give it another good burnish. Kind of telling the paper who's boss. Okay, so I'm going to turn that upside down. So you pull in the one that I already did. You can see that we put the adhesive on the back of the flaps on this. So I'm going to take my score tape. You can just use glue here, or you could use a combination of both, which I will probably do. That's what I do. Down here. I like to make, oh, dang it, spoke too soon. I like to make sure that I get the adhesive close to the edge so that it grabs and holds. Okay, you should end up with something like that. And again, if you're using just glue, you want to put just glue here. All right, I'm going to clean up my score tape's kind of hanging over. Thank goodness for Teflon scissors. Okay, and then last, we have this little flap. And we're going to do it just the same way as we did all the others. We're going to wrap it the same way. The wrap is 4.5 by 8.5. And you want your 1-inch spacer. Again, if you don't have the spacers, you can cut some scrap chipboard that's 1 inch. 1 inch by 1 inch. You would just put one piece here or one piece across the top. I did that for years before I got these spacers. Excuse me. Okay, and again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in between the strips of score tape. Just helps me with some wiggle room if I have to move it around or something. So my cardstock is in my scoreboard in the top left hand corner. I put down my spacer, and now I'm just going to line up, and I did it upside down, but that's okay. I'm just going to line up my chipboard up against the side of that and stick it down. Couldn't be easier. Okay, and then just give that a good burnish, and then we're just going to go ahead and fold that under. Give it a good burnish. Okay, I'm going to do the same and fold it back on itself. Oops. Okay, one more time. I'm going to cut on the short end, right up that score. I guess it's a fold line now, not a score line. But, and then we're going to angle the side tabs, cut away the bulk. And I like to fold that in and just make sure I don't have anything hanging over on the sides, and it looks like I'm good here. I'm going to do that on this one. Looks like I'm good there. Okay. So then let's just add our glue on the short one. Or the two short ends. Okay, check, make sure I don't have anything sticking over. I think I'm okay. And we can actually just glue, wait, let me make sure. Yes, we can glue these down just like we did all four sides, just like we did on the covers, because the spines will attach to this, or the spine. Okay. One more. Whoops, there we go. Okay. And there is our little flap, nicely wrapped. If you don't want to do the flap, you don't have to. But I thought it would be fun. All right, I'm going to move this out of the, well, no, I need this still. Sorry. All right, so now what we have our flap that comes from on the right-hand side. Oh my goodness. I just feel like it's not in focus. This darn camera. Okay, and then we have our wrapped covers. You have two of those. You have one outside flap, and then we have two 1-inch spines. Okay, and we'll just start with one cover and one spine. We are going to take, oh, one thing I forgot to do. Yikes. Okay, so I'm going to put the spine face down and then just go along the edge of that chipboard, kind of like we're scoring it. We're molding that cardstock into the edge of the chipboard. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I just think it makes it look so nice. And be very careful, don't push too hard, or else you'll rip your cardstock. But see how that kind of just puts that little channel there, and it makes it just look so nice and clean. All right. And I am, just to give myself a little bit of wiggle room, I'm going to add some wet glue over that score tape because I just don't trust myself. All right, so this book is a horizontal book or a landscape book. So I am going to put this in my scoreboard, put my spine, oh, yikes, put my spine in my scoreboard, line it up. Now the short side we're going to attach to the spine. So I'm just coming up here. You can kind of see where I am right there. Just giving myself a little bit of space. Make sure it's straight and stick it down. Okay. You see that should fold over nicely. Nothing's interfering. All right, so that is going to be, I think at this point I'm going to make that my front cover. Then we have our spine, and now we need to repeat the same thing to attach the back cover. If you have any score tape sticking over the edge, just fold it back on itself, or else it'll get stuck. All your pages will be, it'll get stuck on everything. Okay, so let's repeat that same process. I'm going to put this, make sure the spine is up against the top of my scoreboard. Make sure everything's straight. Bring this one in, kind of just slide it right into place. Try to match up the space that you had over on this side. I never get it right, but it's handmade, so what do you expect? Okay, so let's give that a good burnish again. Ooh, I like to come in here. Again, don't push too hard like I almost did. I almost just ripped my cardstock. Okay. Clean that glue out of there. There we go. Okay, so you can see there's the book so far. So then we have to add another spine. Oops, I almost panicked. Okay, we have to add the other spine to the rightmost side. So the first 2 times wasn't fun. We get to do it 2 more. So as I was saying, you see how that score tape is kind of hanging over the edge? I like to push it back on itself. Okay, I'm going to add, whoops, let's use a blunt edge, a bone folder, something not very pointy. You can use a stylus. Let's just mold that cardstock up against the chipboard before you stick it down. Okay. All right. Again, make sure you want the outside of your book face up. Is that right? Yeah. Outside is face up. Now it gets to be a little tricky. You don't have to keep using your scoreboard if you don't want to. I just find it a lot easier. I'm just going to slide that in. Again, try to give yourself a nice, you don't want the 2 pieces of chipboard right up against each other. You want to give yourself a nice, nice little space. And then last is this little piece that's going to go on here. And then, you know, a little bit later we will add, I haven't decided if I want to do a magnet or some seam binding. Before I do that, I want to let's line everything up again. Mine's all the way off camera. So again, I'm just going to grab this piece, slide it in there, give it a little bit of space so that it clears the piece of chipboard when you fold it over. Whoa. Okay. So there we go. Alright, so this is how the book is going to go. So I know it doesn't seem, it's not very wide, but it's fun. So we will put it together. I know it's kind of floppy, so now we need to actually cover the pages. You don't necessarily have to cover the front and back here, you know, kind of mat it, because you're going to put pattern paper down, but I would suggest that you mat the 2 spines because it's kind of floppy. So let's mat those. All right, to cover our spines here, we want 2 pieces of your cardstock, whatever color you chose. I wrote it down, but I put the score tape over it. 3 inches by 6 3/8. So 2 pieces, 3 inches by 6 3/8. I added my score tape here, but again, you can use wet glue. I really recommend a combination of both. I like it because the score tape grabs it right away to hold it down, but the wet glue gives me a little bit of wiggle room in case I don't get it straight, which I have been known to do. So I actually like to use my scoreboard to line it up and try to keep it straight. So just adding my wiggle room. Oh, there, I wrote it. 3 by 6 3/8. Alright, and basically this is the left spine. So we're just going to give it a little, excuse my head if my head gets in the shot. Kind of center it right over. Stick it down. Give it some good burnishes. Make sure you get a good contact. Alright, I'm going to move over to the right side. Do the same thing. My hand's sticking in the score tape. Okay. Again, I'm going to just fold that cardstock, make sure none of it's sticking out on the edges. I think that's good. I don't see any. Alright, don't forget your wiggle room. It's probably overkill, but it makes me feel better. Alright, so let's line everything up again. And just center that top, side to side and top to bottom. Okay, let's give that a second to dry. Let's go back over here to our original. It's really hard, you can't really even see it. But what we're gonna do, just kind of define those little gussets. So we're just gonna lift up. And that kind of shows you where the edge of your chipboard is between your spine and your back. Let's do the same on this one. I rarely do a 1-inch spine, so I thought for a second I did something wrong. Okay, just be careful you don't push all the way through. All the way through your cardstock, because that would be no bueno. Alright, so see how that just defines it? And then we're just gonna pick this up, take a deep breath. Okay. There we go on that one. Let's do the same over here. Remember, this is just a little bitty flap. There we go. Let's lift that up. Fold it down. Oh, that always makes me so nervous, no matter how many times I do this. Okay, so you can see now it's all nicely put together, nice and wrapped. All right, we are going to make our move on. We have our hinges, and then we need to make our base pages. I'm going to clean up some of this and then be right back. All right, so for our book, we are going to need 2 hinges. I have already added the one on the right hand side. It's very simple. There's just two tabs, or there'll be 2 pages for each each hinge. Anyway, so what you're going to want is 2 pieces of your cardstock that are 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Oh wait, or should that be 6? Nope, that should be 2.5 by 6. Let's cut that down because our book is 6.5 inches tall. So 2.5 by 6. Okay, and we're going to put it in our scoreboard. On the 2.5-inch side is the 2.5-inch side of your cardstock is in the top right corner. You're going to score 1/2, 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inches. So at every 1/2 inch. Right? So then you end up with something that looks kind of like that. Then I'm just going to go and just fold on all those score lines, fold and burnish. And I always fold. So when you score paper, you have the divot side where you scored the paper, you know, like the divot, and then you have the bump on the other side. I always score, or I always fold towards the bumpy side. I don't know which is right. In my brain, I feel like that makes it look neater, but I don't know, you just do however you like to do it. So then what we need to do is we need to have two flaps with a 1/2-inch gusset in between. Okay, so what we're going to do, turn it over, and then take a piece of score tape or your wet glue, and let's put some adhesive on that very first flap tab, hinge. I don't know what to call it. Okay, and then I'm going to remove the backer, and I'm just going to fold that and then fold it back, and it makes one hinge. The next, let's turn it back over again, and let's go back to the far side. And it's easy to do this one because there's only the two flaps. Fold it over. And again, fold it down to close it. And you have two flaps. Okay. Oops, I feel like we're getting blurry. Come on. Ugh. My camera really hates me these days. All right, so we have a flap, a gusset, and a flap, or a hinge, a gusset, and a hinge. So let's just fold those over and just burnish, burnish, burnish. Okay, and I'm going to fold it back on itself. Do it again. Okay. All right. So then what I like to do, because we are making sleeve pages, our base pages are like a sleeve or a tube, just like you do with a pocket, I like to tab those corners. Just makes it easier. And then turn it upside down and grab some score tape, or you don't do it yet, but if you're going to use wet glue, just get your glue ready. So I'm going to lift that one up because I only have 1/4-inch score tape. Okay, and I'm just going to stick that right back down till I'm ready for it. Okay. And then let's grab my book. So here's the book, here's the spine in our book. This is 6 inches long or tall. This is 6.5 inches, so I left 1/4 inch on each end just to make it look good. And what I like to do is lay this straight. Then if you have one of these rulers that has the 1/4 inch markings, it becomes very, very handy. If you can eyeball it, and go ahead and eyeball it, but I'll just show you. So then I know that my hinge is a 1/2 inch wide, so I just marked the 1/2 inch there. I'll turn this around. I'm just going to do the same thing. This just helps me line everything up. You don't have to do this, but I just like to. Alright, so let's take off the paper backing or go ahead and add your wet glue. I'm doing both. Okay. So I hope you can see that. All right, so then what I'm going to do is just line up my hinge, hope it's straight. Actually, I think it's a little too far over. I think it's straight. Looks straight. It's too late now. All right, and then just stick it down. Take a deep breath and just stick it down. Then I can give it some good burnishes. Clean up any glue that seeped out. And then there we have our pages will stick out of the spine on that side, and on this side we will put a closure on it to help hold it closed. And let's move on to the base pages. So our base pages are going to be what I call a sleeve or a tube. So you can see it's like a sleeve, and it will, or they will, slide right onto our hinges just like that. Oops, mine's stuck. It'll slide on just like that. Okay, so I will show you how to make one. I made the other 3 off camera, so we need a total of 4. So you're gonna want, your base page has 2 parts. So it has a 7" by 8" piece of cardstock, so you want 4 of those. We're going to score them on the 7" side. We're going to score at 1/2 and 6.5. So you put that in your scoreboard with 7 inches across the top, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch and then 6.5 inches. Okay, and then you're also going to need 4 pieces of your cardstock that measure 6 inches by 8 inches. All right, so then we're going to fold and burnish on the score lines. Gonna make a nice crisp crease there. Let's do the same over here. Makes it nice and straight. Okay, so then what I like to do is, so now you have these 2 flaps. I like to put this, it helps me keep it straight. I like to put this up against one side of my scoreboard. Remove my score tape backer, or you can use wet glue here. You can apply wet glue. And then I just like to, I actually use this part of my hand and kind of stick that down, hold it down. And then I like to line up the exact corners. And then, I still got it crooked. And then line up down along the bottom as best you can. Okay. And I'm going to do the same on this side. So open that up there. Oops, I did it backwards, sorry. Do it this way and then fold it down. Now I can already see that I have some cardstock hanging over the fold. So see that little bit right there? Now if that doesn't bother you, you can leave it. Nobody will be any the wiser. But I am going to go ahead and show you can just trim that off with a ruler or some sort of straight edge. and a craft knife. So I just lined it up, my ruler up with the edge of the page. So I have this, I don't even know if that's an 1/8 or that's probably a 1/16 of an inch. So just very lightly, don't cut your fingers, very lightly draw your craft knife down along your ruler. And I'm using the metal edge. Oops, there we go. I was pushing the blade up against the metal edge. You hear that? Of the ruler. And there you have it. All gone. I did like, there we go. I thought I messed it up. But, so that is our sleeve. Oh, see, I cut a little bit too close. No worries. I am going to take some of my glue. Dang it. I hate when that happens. But it happens to everybody. Just going to put a little bit of glue in there. Close that right up. It's like it never happened. All right, so go ahead and repeat that 3 more times, and then you should end up with 4 sleeve pages. Then we are going to take each one of these sleeve pages. I'm going to have 2 on each side. I'm going to put some adhesive on the hinge and line that up. I'm going to show you a tool that I got from my friend Jennifer Palmer. Hold 1 minute, let me grab that. So this is something that is called a page spacer. Right? It looks like a funky kind of comb, sorry. These are made out of acrylic. I don't know if this is black or purple. I think this is black. Yeah, it's black. And if you've ever struggled like I have, when you try to slide your base page onto your hinge, sometimes you put it too far and it just, it interferes. Well, Jennifer, the genius that she is, has come up with a solution. That's the page spacer. So you can see this will work for with 5 pages, a mini album that has 5 pages, or a hinge with 5 pages. Okay, and you just slide it on. You slide the hinge on like that. Then you bring one on from the other side. Okay, and they'll just meet right there in the middle. Oh, sorry, you can see my camera. Okay, there, how about we do it that way? Okay, so you slide that on, and what this is about an 1/8 of an inch thick, and it helps you when you slide. Let's put the adhesive on our hinge. We'll do the last hinge first. Put the adhesive on both sides of it. Okay. Take your page, slide your page on straight to the bottom. Now make sure you make good contact, and then pinch at the bottom of the page. You know, like push down at the same time. Whoops. Push it down at the same time that you kind of squish it. Give it a second to catch. Isn't that awesome? So, and then I'll show you. Let's do the other one. A little bit of glue. This is number 2. Slide it over your hinge. Make sure it makes contact. Give it a little pinch. Okay, I like to wipe off any glue that might have seeped out. And then what you do, you just slide these out. Look at that. Absolutely straight. You can see right there, the page stops right there. That's 1/16 of an inch. And there's no interference. You can turn the pages. You don't hear that god-awful, you know, if you know what I mean. So that is just incredible. Now, if you'd like to get yourself one of these little spacer sets. So there's, it's called the page spacer. There's some instructions here, but it really is just as easy as I showed it to you, whether you're doing just 2 pages or if you're doing 5 pages like I did, or 5 pages. Actually, my last video I used this, but Jen actually has a Doodlebug, Doodlebug 4th of July video up. She just put it up maybe about a week ago, where she shows you how to use it, and she did 5 pages, so it's incredible. So again, let's do this again. It's always the littlest things, right, that make me happy. And there's no rhyme or reason which slot I'm choosing. It just, whichever was there first. So I'm going to go ahead and add glue again. Take my page, stick it on, and line it up. Oops. So if you would like to get one of these for yourself, they are available on Jen's website. I was there earlier today. They were there. It is scrappingundertheinfluence.com. She has a bunch of cute, like, acrylic mini albums, chipboard mini albums, some acrylic shakers. You name it, she's got it. I will put a link down below for you. So again, just slide that right out. It's just a beautiful thing. Okay, so there we have page 2, and then I will put the, maybe I should make these a little bit shorter. Now that I think about it, or maybe not. Is it just me? Yeah. I think what we should do is maybe trim off about a 1/16 of an inch off of each page. I'm so sorry. So hopefully you watch my video first. Don't do what I do. Okay, so it's easy enough to fix. We're just going to go ahead and trim off, instead of making this page, let's just trim off a bit. Yeah, let's trim off about a 1/16 of an inch. I didn't allow for the 1/16 of an inch on the hinge. So I will put up on the screen, I'll make sure that I put the correct dimension up there and in the cutting guide below. Let's just do that again. This should solve the problem. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just literally lining up my sleeve pages, cutting off a 1/16 of an inch. I don't even think that's an 1/8 of an inch. I think it's a 1/16. Just a smidge. Just cut off a smidge. Okay, that should be good. All right, let's act like that never happened. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and my book is upside down. Ay, 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 people. Let's try that again. Right, left, right, left. There we go. So now our pages, they don't, see when you close it up, they were kind of folding on each other, on themselves. So, yeah, there we go. All right, next up is the pockets and the flaps. We're going to start with adding our flaps and our pockets into our book. So I'm just going to bring my book in and leave it sit there for a minute. Actually, no, I'm going to move it back. Sorry. On the inside left cover, or inside front cover, we're going to do 2 pockets. One is going to be a larger pocket. I'm calling this the bottom pocket, 5 inches by 7.5 inches. And what we're going to do is put it in our scoreboard. Doesn't really matter where you start. We're just going to score at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So you see I have here the paper on the 7.5 inch side across the top, score 1/2 inch, rotate it to one side, score at 1/2 inch, rotate it back to the second short side, and score at 1/2 inch. So this is what I call scoring at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. Okay, so that's the bottom pocket. The top pocket is just going to be one of these little L-shaped pockets. We're going to glue it down in an L shape. It is 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. We're going to just score it on 2 sides, one long side and one short side. So with 3 3/4 across the top, we're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to rotate it and score at 1/2 inch again. So it's 1/2 inch on the left side, 1/2 inch on the bottom. Right, so we will start on our bottom pocket. I am going to use score tape here. Just because it's a little bit quicker. This video is already over an hour long, which is fine by me, but I don't want you all to get bored. So I'm just gonna turn it over so you're able to see. We're gonna do what we've done before, and we're just going to cut out that square where the 2 score lines intersect. So I'm just gonna take my scissor and just line it up and just cut that off. Do the same over here. So it should look something like that. So we just did one cut, which cut out that square, and it also angled the edges of the flap tabs. Then I'm going to do the same at the top of the pocket, just removing some bulk for when we fold the tabs back. Alright, so let's fold along those score lines and burnish, burnish, burnish. The same over here. Give it a good crease. And on this side. Okay, so then if you turn it over, your pocket should look something like that. So I'm going to bring this back in. We are going to have, the pocket's going to open from the right. So this is my left, this is my right side. Where is it? Here it is. I'm going to remove the backing just on the bottom piece first. Oops, it's going to go like this. So I'm going to actually turn my book around. Can you see that? I think you can see that. And just kind of line everything up. I like to line up one corner first. And then the folded edge of the pocket will go along the folded edge of the cover. Not the folded edge, the very edge of the cover. Then just going to give that a little burnish. I'm going to remove this score tape. Remove this score tape backing and this score tape backing. And then, since it's already lined up, just carefully, because it could still go wonky, just carefully line that up along the edges of the cover and stick her down. Just Just want to check to make sure that it didn't go over the edge here, the edge of the book. We are good. Okay, that's pocket number 1. So then we have the top pocket. Again, it's 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. We are going to fold. Oops. First we need to put our score tape on, or you can use wet glue. Okay, we are going to just remove some bulk at the ends, excuse me, and then we are also going to cut away that corner, or that intersection of the score lines, that little extra square. So now we can fold and burnish. And then, so that's what that looks like. And since this is just a little pocket, I am going to remove both pieces of score tape, because I'm brave like that. And this is going to be another, here's the pocket we just put in. We are going to just line this bottom, the bottom left of this pocket with the bottom left over here. Be mindful of the edge of your book. So this folded edge should just right along that edge on top of the bottom pocket. So I am just lining that up. Line up the left edge first, and then the bottom edge. Oops. And no need to worry about this. This pen mark I put in here will be covered up with pretty pattern paper. So I just have, oops, just need a scrap piece of paper. Here's a scrap. So we will put some tags here, and then we will also put some tags in there like that. I plan on putting a 3x4 cut apart right on top of the pocket. It's just going to be fun, 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 fun. So that's the inside front cover. Now we have page 1. Very simple. This is just a flat pocket. It's 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. We're going to put this in our scoreboard. Actually, I'm going to turn it over this way. Put this in our scoreboard with 4 3/4 across the top. And we're going to score that at 1/2 inch. Okay. And then we are going to add some score tape or your adhesive, whichever you're using, or both if you decide. Go ahead and trim those corners. You don't need a big angle here, just, you know, just a little bit, angle it a little bit. And then when we fold and burnish it, it should look like that on the underside, and again that'll get covered up with paper. So this, I'm going to remove this. So then what we're going to do, this is the flap on page 1 that I think I'm going to do it on the outside. You can see, I hope you can tell, that this page is 8 inches long, but this is only, what was this, 6 1/4? 6 1/4. Now after you fold it down, it should be 4 1/4. So actually it's a great photo mat for a 4x6 photo. So you can either place it on the right hand side of your page or over here on the left side, or you can go in the center. I think I'm going to go on the right hand side, so this can be like some journaling spot, and then we'll have a photo mat underneath. So let's go ahead and stick that down. So I'm going to remove the paper back, and again I have to do this upside down because I can't really see it. So I am going to, I don't want to get too close to the end here because sometimes if you open the book, it could, if it's not sitting exactly right, it could interfere, you know, in the little gusset, and I just want to avoid that. So I'm going to come in, oh, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch maybe. I don't think that's a 1/4. But then I'm just going to stick that down, folded edge of the flap with the top of the page. And I'm going to burnish it. Whoops. Oh, I bumped my camera, sorry. And I'm going to come back in here and burnish it again. So that's what we have there. I know sometimes it's hard to see, so I'm just going to take a piece of pattern paper. You can see what we did. So this is the end of the page. All right. So that's page 1. Super easy. Page 2, we have a flap, a pocket, and a belly band. So, yeah, a flap, a pocket, and a belly band. Sounds like a bad joke, right? Okay. Let's see. So, our flap is going to be 4 3/4 by 6 1/4. And what we'll do is we will, no. Sorry, that was page 1. So the page 2 flap is 5 7/8 by 10 inches. Okay, I'm going to turn this around. And with the 10-inch side in out, let me write that on there for you. 5 7/8 by 10. We're going to score at 1/2 and 5 1/4. All right, so with 10 inches across the top of your scoreboard, we're going to score at 1/2 of an inch and then 5 1/4. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and add my score tape to that flap. I think it was on this side. Okay, and then set that aside. And then next we have a little pocket that's going to go on top of that flap. This is 2 1/2 inches by 5 1/2 inches. And just like any other pocket, we're going to score at 1/2 of an inch with the 5 1/2 across the top, 1/2 of an inch on 3 sides. So this side and 1/2 inch on this side. Okay, and let's go ahead and add our score tape before we burnish it. I just find it easier to put the score tape on before I miter the corners. People, I get that criticism all the time. You're wasting score tape. Well, it's my score tape. Okay, and then the pocket, the belly band is 1 1/2 inches by 5 3/4. Okay, so with the 5 3/4 at the top of your scoreboard, we're going to go ahead and score at, ooh, get in there, 1/2 inch, and we can turn it around to the other side and score at 1/2 of an inch again. Or if you'd rather just not turn it, you could score at 1/2 of an inch and 5 1/4. Okay, and then we will just add our score tape. Oops. To both of those little flaps. Okay, and since we're on this one, let's go ahead and just miter or angle those corners. Again, we're going to be sliding a tag under this belly band, or several tags, and that just helps remove bulk and the opportunity for anything to get stuck. All right, so again, we have a pocket, so we have intersecting score lines. I don't know if you could see it in the camera. There it is, right there and right there. Just going to go ahead and miter that. Do the same on the other side. And let's remove the bulk on the ends. Okay, and then last, for our flap, I forgot to do that. Let's go ahead and angle that. Sorry, I flip back and forth. Sometimes I say angle the corners, I say trim the corners, and I say miter the corners. That all means the same thing. Okay, so I have to think about how I had this. I believe for the flap, that 1/2 inch flap, we're going to fold that under and burnish it. Give it a good burnish, and a really good crease. Okay, so that is going to go, this flap, or this tab, is going to line up along the edge of your pocket. So your pocket opening, or your base page opening, is on the left. So let's remove the backing, or go ahead and add your wet glue. And I'm just going to line this up. I need a piece of colored paper to help me. I know, I sometimes have a problem. You see where the end of that page, or where this page ends and the cover starts? I have a hard time sometimes seeing the end of it because the paper's the same color. Now that'll make it clear. So I just have this piece of yellow foam laying around. So I'm going to go ahead and take my flap, fold that little tab under. The folded side here is going to match up with this side. So again, I always start in one corner, make sure all this lines up, and just stick it down. Okay. So there we go with that. And then this opens this way, and then it'll open like that. Okay. Go ahead and open your flap. We're going to take the pocket. We already mitered all the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and now see, this one overhangs a little bit, so I'm going to go in and angle that just a little bit more. Actually, it's this one that needs it. Okay. And I could live with that. All right. So we are going to add your adhesive to the bottom flap. If you remember, we had this open. Our flap is open here, like that. We're going to put this on the inside right of that flap. So I am going to start by lining up the bottom left. It's hard to see, so I'm actually going to line up the bottom right. And the folded flap, whoopsies. No, actually, why don't we center that, scratch that, center that on that flap between here and the fold, which is right here. Okay, so we stick that down, and let's go ahead and form the pocket. Now you can have a little bit of space. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little bit of space there. It's about 1/8 of an inch. And a little bit over there. So then this will be the pocket. I don't know. Is it just me that has problems seeing that when all the paper's the same color? Anyway, maybe it is just me. Okay, so then that will close. Then we have our little belly band. Where did my... Oh, here it is. Found it. Fold and burnish on your crease, on your score lines. It will look like that if you turn it over. And then we're just going to You can put it down here at the bottom of the page. You could put it in the center or at the top. It's going to go horizontally. I'm going to put it in the center. I'm going to start. Oh, come on now. I'm going to start actually on this side. And I'm just eyeballing it. I don't know if it's the center or not. I mean, look, I'm lucky if I get it straight some days. Okay. But if you feel the need to actually center it, I believe our pages are 6 inches tall. Have at it. Okay, so I'm going to give it a good burnish, a good crease. Oh, you couldn't even see that. Sorry. Just stuck that down. Okay, so now we have a belly band, and we will put a stopper at the bottom after we decorate the page. So we have that. Opens like that. And then we will put a photo mat here and some journaling spots over there. Okay, so that's page 2. Page 3, I believe we're leaving blank. Yeah, we're leaving page 3 blank for a layout. Page 4, we have a waterfall. Okay, let me grab that. Okay, it's nothing fancy. I mean, waterfalls are fancy. They are going to open, the flaps are going to open to the left. If you want them to open to the right, by all means, they can open to you can have them open to the right. I have 4 flaps. It is a vertical waterfall. So you'll want 4 pieces of your cardstock. I did not write that on here for you. So you want 4 that are 4 3/4 by 5 7/8. The 5 7/8 is because our base page is 6 inches tall. So again, you'll want 4 of those. You're going to put this in your scoreboard on the 4 3/4 inch side and score at 1/2 inch. And you're going to do that to all 4 of your pages. Okay, and then I'm just going to use my score tape. Which is dwindling fast. Okay. So while I do this, did you all go and see Jennifer Palmer's video for her 4th of July project, her Doodlebug 4th of July? I want to say it's called Hometown something. I didn't have that paper collection, but I did actually do, I made the book. I'm not done decorating it yet. Perfect. It's just an incredible, incredible book. Okay. Highly recommend. All right. So I'm just going to stack 2 of these together, and then I'm just going to go and angle those corners. Do the same. Do the same here. Love when those things fly all around. I have these little pieces of paper everywhere in my house. Okay. So those are our 4 waterfall pieces. So let's pull our book back in. Again, we are on page 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is the back of our second flap, our second base page that's on the left-hand side. All right, I'm just gonna fold and burnish all of these. Which I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. These would be nice to put a 4x6 photo on. It would have to be trimmed down a little bit, of course, because this is only 5 7/8 inches tall, but definitely doable. All right. I'm going to turn my book so that the short side is facing me. All right, let's see. Oh my goodness. Come on. Okay. Now you can go ahead and add your wet glue to your flap. To your tab or your score tape, just like I did. Then I'm just going to line up the folded edge with the end of my base page. Now remember, this flap is just a little bit shorter. It's about 1/8 of an inch shorter than our page. Actually, does it want color here? Oh. And this is my new camera. There we go. That's better. Okay. So the next one, just like every other waterfall we've ever done, we're going to fold the tab under and line it up with the one directly in front of it. Okay. Let's give that a burnish. The last one, or no, second to the last one. Fold that under and line it up. Give it a good burnish. Okay, and then you can see, so you see here is the tab. So instead of lining this next one up like this, okay, we are going to turn it upside down. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're going to, so we don't have that extra piece. This flap is hanging out there. It gets covered with paper anyway, but so we're going to actually put it right on top of, see, it's so hard to see. We're going to put it right on top of that flap from the previous one. So we don't have that little bit. Now that's something I learned from my friend Jen Palmer. You don't want to cross the score line. Actually, I did it wrong. Anyway, don't listen to me. So I actually meant to put this, I meant to fold it under, but you know, never mind. So it works fine. It's fine, everything's fine. So let's fold all of these back and go back and burnish them all really well. So we have the 4 flaps. No, I did it wrong. Yep, I'm going to see if I can pull this up. Everybody, hold your breath. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. I think I wanted to go like that. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my score tape. Alright. Then what I'm going to do is put the score tape on the opposite side. And then, let me pull this up. Okay, so there, so you can see where I removed the score tape. We're going to take this one and glue it like that, so that when you turn the flap, you don't have that awkward tab sticking out. If that makes sense to you. And then this is all going to get covered up with a little piece of trim anyway, so no worries. Or I might just edit this out of the video if I remember. Okay. So again, you can see right here, I'm going to take this flap and I'm going to glue it right on top of the tab from the previous one. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Good gravy. So now you can see we have 4 flaps. One's open and there's no, with all of them open, there's no awkward little tabs sticking out. Alright, so we'll just give those a good burnish like we already did. Now the closure at this point, if you want to use some twine or some seam binding, actually I think we can probably, now would be the time. I wanted to use some magnets, but I don't have a magnet. I don't have the bigger ones, I have the smaller ones. So, hold please. I'm just gonna grab some of this white cotton. Is this technically twine? I don't know. So I'm gonna take 12. I'm gonna take maybe 24 inches. It's probably way too much, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. And cut it in half. So then I'm going to take, now I have to decide if I want, excuse me. Okay, I'll put it over here. That will get covered up in pattern paper. I'm just gonna eyeball the center of our book. I'm gonna put a couple of pieces here, just because I'm nervous it's gonna get torn off. And that'll get covered up with pattern paper. And then I'm gonna do the same over here. Try to line them up, try to make them straight. No, I have to do it this way because of the pattern paper. God, I feel like a moron today. Has that ever happened to you? You're like, I know how to do this. Why am I questioning myself? Anyway, so then we can tie it close. Oh, and then on the inside, we're just going to go ahead and decorate with pattern paper and a journal spot. There are plenty of cut aparts in this paper collection that would look really, really cute. Okay, so that is page 4. Page 5. Is a pocket and a flap. So our pocket is 4 inches by 6 7/8 inches. So it's a long pocket. We're going to score it at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So 1/2 inch on the first short side. Rotate it to the first long side. Score 1/2 inch. And rotate it again back to the second short side. And score at 1/2 inch. And while we're here, let's add our score tape. And let's go ahead and cut out that little square. And angle those corners. Okay, you can set that aside. Then we have this little flap. It is 4 inches by 5.5 inches. We're going to put it on, oops, that should say on the 5.5 inch side. We're going to score it at 1/2 inch. something I probably should have said. If you, and I might have said it and I forgot, but if you want to chomp your corners or do a decorative corner punch, it's always easier to do that before you stick it down. It can be done, but yeah, I always try to do it beforehand, but I'm not going to do that in this book. All right, okay, so this is page, what page is this? Page 5. So this is the top, we're on the right hand side of the book. It is the very top base page, the front of the top based page. Holy moly. All right, so we already put all of our score tape on and angled all the corners and all the good stuff. So let's fold and burnish. Give it a good burnish. Need it to be nice and crisp. I think you can probably hear me like dragging it. All right, so here's my flap. I keep thinking my book's upside down. Better not be upside down. No. Okay. Because I put the page on upside down. We'll cover that right up. I think I decided to do it like this. Did I decide to do that? Or did we want to do that? Or did I decide to go like that? No, it's going like that. And this flap is going here. Okay. So again, we have our pocket. Go ahead, add your adhesive to the bottom flat tab of the pocket. We're going to line up the folded edge. So this is the bottom or the left hand side of the pocket. Turn my book and line that up. This side of your page is open. We're going to line our pocket up. It's a little bit shorter than our actual pocket or our actual base page, so just kind of try to center it. You can barely tell. And stick that down. Add your adhesive to the other two flaps and go ahead and stick that down. Okay, so you see we have a pocket, a right hand opening. And then let's take that flap we made, give it a good burnish. And what we're going to do, I'm going to turn my book this way. Move this over here. And I'm going to line this up with the left hand side of the page, but be careful not to go over your hinge, because that'll just cause a big issue. And then what we'll do, I don't have one here, but what we'll do is we'll have a couple of tags in this pocket that will hold that flap down. Okay, so it'll look like that, and there'll be a tag or a photo mat or something holding that flap down, and then this will open up and we'll decorate underneath here. All right, that's page 5, and then page 6 goes this way, and there's going to be a layout on that page. Page 7 has a couple flaps. Oh, I didn't put it on here. Page 7 is 2 flaps, and they are 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 by 6, both of them. And then, seriously, I have my notebook here. I did write it all down. 4 1/4 by 6. We're going to put this on our scoreboard on the 6-inch side, and we will score at 1/2 inch on both of them. Okay, so you see you have 2. Let's go ahead and add our score tape. Okay. So again, this page is blank on the right, page 6. This is page 7. You don't necessarily have to tab these corners because this is just going to get covered up with pattern paper. So what I'm going to do here, you can make the decision whether you want to go have one flap open from the top, open up, or one open down. See, it's so hard to see it. There we go. So one will open up, one will open down. And what I want to do is, so there's a 1/2 inch, it's a 1/2 inch shorter than the top and the bottom of the book. And then I was going to do, just kind of leave those there for a minute. So then I also have 2 pieces of the cardstock that are 2 inches by 3/4 of an inch. So 3/4 of an inch by 2. And we put them on the 2 inch side and score at 1/2 of an inch and 1.5 inches. Okay, so that will leave this little slidey thing. And I don't want to stick it down yet because I'm going to actually mat the paper first and then we'll stick it down, and I'm just going to take a little piece of chipboard. So these are both 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to take a piece of chipboard that's about, I don't know, let's do 3.5 inches. So let me grab a piece of chipboard. Okay. So I'm going to do a little less than 1 inch. So 7/8. Okay. So this is 7/8 by 4. Okay. And then what will happen is we will glue these down after we put on the pattern paper, and this will just slide right through these little slidey holes, these little braces or brackets, and that'll just hold the page closed. I know that's kind of crude. See, it'll wrap right through there. We'll glue that down after we put down the pattern paper. And then to open the flaps, you'll just slide this right out. I did this quite a while ago on another book, and it's actually really cool. It ends up looking really cool. So set those aside for now. And let's go ahead and put our flaps down. So I'm going to have my flap on the left open from the bottom. And I'm going to come in just I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 of an inch. I don't know if you can see that. And then stick that down. Then I'm going to bring this one. I was worried that was going to happen. So now this one, I'm gonna have, you might decide to do it the opposite direction, but I'm gonna have this flap open up. Okay, so I'm gonna turn my book around so that I can see the edge. Okay, there's the edge right here. I can move that flap out of the way. Then I'm going to bring this in by like a 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And stick that down. Right. And then those two will close up. So the bottom one will close to the top and the top one will close to the bottom. Or you can reverse them, however you'd like to do it. I think I'm going to have mine do that. And then this will go maybe centered here. And I don't know, I might have to adjust the size of my chipboard. And this will go here. And then we'll just slide that through. And it's just a cute little closure. So I'm going to take these and paper clip all these together. I'll paper clip it to this page just so I don't lose it. Okay, so that's page 7. Now we have page 8. This one's an interesting one. This one is going to be a telescoping pocket. God help me, this is the first time I ever made one. So what we're going to do is take a piece of our cardstock. I'm going to put it in our, I'm sorry, it's 6 inches by 10 inches. We're going to put it on the 10-inch side in our scoreboard. Actually, no, we're not. Yeah. We're going to put it on the 10-inch side, and we're going to score it 1/2 inch, or, sorry, 5 inches. So we're going to score it in half. Okay? So you end up with that. So then we're going to rotate it to the 6-inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch all the way down. And then we're going to turn it to the other long side and score it all the way down. Okay? Then we're going to fold, actually let's put the score tape to make it easier for you to see. I'm going to add score tape on both of those. Actually, I don't have to do both, but I'm just going to do both. Talk about wasting it. Okay. So let's fold and burnish on those score lines. Okay. Alright, so then you have something that looks like that. And then you fold it in half and fold and burnish, of course. Okay. Then what we need to do, we're going to cut off these tabs, one set of these tabs. So just take that score line, and we're going to just snip right along that score line right up to the score line going this way. Okay, and we do that on the same side. I mean on the other side. Okay, and then we're going to we'll cut away these ones. And I like to use, if you could put that in a paper cutter and cut it if you'd like. Oh, wait a minute. Am I doing that right? Yes. It doesn't matter whether you cut these ones away or these ones, but just cut away one set of them. So we're just going to cut it right on that score line. But like I was saying, if you can line that up in your paper cutter, you can do that. You want to get this to be as straight as you can get it. And I'm going to turn this over because sometimes it's easier for me to see over here. Okay, so we want it to look like that. And then I just use the long scissors because I have a better chance of cutting it straight with one good cut. But, you know, you might be better at that. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim this little bit away. I'm going to trim a little bit away here. Oops, see, I can see that that's not perfectly straight. Oh, good gravy. Let's angle that corner. All we're trying to do so that when we fold that down, you know, you get actually a nice fold and it doesn't look like it's all janky. I learned that word the other day. I seem to love it. Okay. So you should end up with something like this. So if you're looking at your 6x10 piece of cardstock, you've trimmed away those score lines or those tabs on the left hand side, and we're going to keep them on the right hand side. Hope that makes sense. Okay, now we want another piece of cardstock, the part that's going to actually pull out of here, and it's 5x6. So we're going to put that in the excuse me, in our scoreboard on the 5-inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2 inch, or we're going to start at the top and we're going to come down only as far, actually before we score, let's do this. Let's put this in your scoreboard to keep it straight. And if you have a ruler like this that show, no matter what brand, but it shows, you know, like the 1/4 inch markings, we're going to line up from the left hand side, the bottom left hand side. We're going to make a little line, line it up 1/2 inch, oops, and draw a little line like I did there. So we do it on that side, on the left side, and on the right side. 1/2 inch up from the bottom, and then we're going to actually that's it. So we're just going to make the 2 marks. I was thinking we're going to make a square. We're not making a square. So we're going to measure 1/2 inch up from the bottom and 1/2 inch over from each side. Okay? So you'll see in a minute. Then you're going to put this in your scoreboard and you're going to score on the 5-inch side. You're going to score at 1/2 inch and you're come all the way down, and you're going to stop the score line at 5.5 inches. Okay? And we're just going to rotate it again to the other 5-inch side, and then we're going to start the score line at 1/2 inch down all the way to the bottom. So essentially what we're doing is you have something that looks like that. So if you can picture, if we're going to cut away, I just don't want to ruin my, we're going to cut away this one, that tab, and that tab. And we are making a T-shaped. We're going to keep this. We're making a T-shape that we're going to slide in through here and pull out, and it'll stop. Okay, so let's cut those away. So we're going to make a little slice from the edge up to that score line. Okay, we're just going to cut along that little line that you drew. I cut mine a little too far, but that's okay. Try to stop right at that score line. And then let's go ahead and fold that in or back. Okay? And then we're just going to cut that away. Right along that score line. Right up to that little 1/2 inch mark. Okay? I'm going to do the same. As you can see, mine's all crooked. But it will be fine. Okay. So I think I'm going to try, oops, and line that up, kind of straighten it, and do the same over here. Okay. So you can see it's a little wonky, but it's okay. It's going to be hidden inside. Just get that as straight as you can. I just need to clean that up a little bit. And there we go. That looks better to me. Okay. So what you can do now, if you want, actually I think I will grab rounder like this. This is the We Are Memory Keepers. It has a 10 millimeter, a 7 millimeter, and a 4 millimeter corner rounder. Now, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try. I'm going to slide this in on this small one. Oh, just gives it that tiny little bit. I don't know if this will work. All right, we'll go this way. Nope. Slide it in like that. Yeah, it won't work. So I'm just trying to round that, the little T shape here. Just makes it easier to slide. Okay, I'm gonna turn that one. It's very crude, but I rounded them. Oh no! Okay, now we're going to pull this back in. Okay, and then what we want to do, I'm going to open up these little tabs, and this is from on the rightmost side, on the outside or right side, and I am going to, what we're going to do is glue this down a little bit. We're going to create kind of a stopper. So I'm putting this in my scoreboard. You can see these two white lines here. That's 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm lining it up on that black line. And then right here is 1/4 of an inch. The solid white line right under the 8. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue there. I don't want to get it, I don't want too much. Actually, I'm going to just take some of that off. And then just close it shut. And just hold that there for a second. So the intent here is to just create a stopper. You can see this is open, but this is just glued to create a stopper. I'm sure there's another way to create a stopper. I don't know. I know I have a lawn fawn. I have a lawn fawn die that does this, but anyway. Alright, so then what we want to do is this actually, it's a little too big, so we're going to have to trim away some of this. So it's pretty much trial and error, because you want it to, because everybody measures a little differently. We want this, I knew it. This is still a little bit too wide. The intent is to have this, these edges, they have to slide in between these two tabs that have the score tape on, and I can feel it's a little too wide here. I'm going to come in about 1/8 of an inch. And trim off a little more on each side. And you don't even have to do this. You could just make this a regular pocket. Okay, let me see. Okay, I should be able to clear that. There we go. So you see how it's going to slide in there, and it's going to stop. So the glue is going to catch it. All right. So then, no matter what measurements I give you, if any line, if you score it off a little bit, you just kind of have to mess with it to make it fit. Okay. So I'm going to slide this back in. Score tape, you can use wet glue here, but make sure you only put glue, you only put glue on this flap, on the tab. Oh, come on now. There we go. Okay. So I already have my score tape down. I'm going to open that up. And just make sure that your little flab is centered. I mean, it's going to be as centered as it wants to be. In between the two tabs, and we're just going to fold that shut. Okay. Now, if that's sticking out a little too far for you, you could trim this down in your paper cutter, but I kind of like it. I envision, you know, like maybe a cut apart on here. Oh, dang it. What we probably should have done is decorated this first. But you have a good, you can still fit some pattern paper down in there. Yeah, just measure this. So this is 5 inches. So you could probably go 5. You can actually go to 5.5. Actually 5 3/4. So you have a bit of space underneath here to go ahead and decorate. So I just think that's so cute. I love the idea of it. Haven't seen one of these in years, and I never made one. So anyway, I just thought it was fun. And we're going to bring our book back in. So again, this is the back of the last page, or page 8. And I would not stick this down yet. Go ahead and put your pattern paper down wherever you're going to decorate. Oh man, I left my glue bottle open. Yikes, this whole time. Oh, that's going to be a nightmare. Okay, so, and then you can put this however you like it. You can put it over here, trim this down a little bit. It just barely extends over that, you know. Or you can put it here. But yeah. So what I would do is just make sure you only glue down this piece, this square, and glue it down. Actually, I think I might do mine that way so that it lifts up. You could do it this way. You could glue it down this way, and it pulls out this way, however you'd like. All right, and then I just left, I think that's all I did. I just left this open. I am going to do a little layout here because I didn't want too much bulk. So the way we close it, I always go right, left, and then close it up that way.